up, guys? It's Quincy with Coin Club Crypto. Welcome to my channel. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and talk about it with your friends if you like what I have to talk about. Now, today I'm going to be talking about the anatomy of a token. And I see a lot of confusion around this, where people sort of get this weird idea of what is a token. And my biggest thing is breaking down like what is an NFT. And I'll also be breaking down like, fungible tokens also. But the biggest thing is really pointing to what is an NFT. And I keep telling people it's a reference. And people go, it's a reference to what? And ideally, it's a reference to smart contracts and an index within that smart contract. So let me explain. So every address on every network has every wallet on every network has an address, and that address has the basic functionalities and basic capabilities of whatever that network may be. So let's say we took XDC, for example. When you have an XDC address, you have all the basic functionalities of the network. Now, you could launch a smart contract that also has an XDC address, but you could also have additional code on top of it that allows you to do different programmatic things on the network. So with the smart contract, you have an address just like all the other addresses, but you also have an additional code over it. Now, a token in that smart contract is essentially an index. So what you're really doing is you're pointing to a counter starting from 0, and each pointer, each index in that counter is a token, and each token is going to be specified with an amount of tokens. It can either be 1, and if it's 1, that's a non-fungible token, and if it's multiple tokens, it's essentially like multiple fungible tokens or like currency tokens. Now, in the blockchain world, we see these as different standards. For Ethereum, we see the ERC standards, and for XDC, we see the XRC standards. And typically, when it came to a token that was referenced in a smart contract, that was a currency of some sort that was within a smart contract, we would reference it as the XRC20. And all that would be is index 0, this many tokens, and whatever rules of the smart contract. And then we also, for non-fungible tokens, we had the XRC 721 contract. And that essentially pointed to an index, stated that there was only one token in there, basically stating that there's one being that non-fungible token. And then whatever rules that the smart contract has will essentially govern that. Now, there's also a standard called the XRC 1155 that can essentially do both, and essentially allows for makes it easier to build applications by being able to build multiple types of tokens within that. But essentially, you make your way from a basic address to a smart contract. That smart contract has a index, and within that index, you have a uniform resource identifier. Now, what's a uniform resource identifier? It's essentially some metadata that describes the NFT. So that metadata can be read by you and me, like humans, or it can be read by the smart contract or other smart contracts to essentially describe what the NFT may be. So I have an example right up here showing OpenSea's URI for how they depict their NFTs. And you can see here that it has their name, it shows their image, some URLs. But one thing I really want you to focus here is with OpenSea, one of the things that they're referencing, you can see this URL, is they're referencing a URL. And that's actually the URL for the picture that's being sold. So this picture that's actually being sold is actually being hosted on an IPFS, an interplanetary file service. And essentially, that file that's being hosted there is being referenced in the metadata. So that token that's on the blockchain is essentially referencing that link that is hosting that file that is able to depict that picture. And that token, the actual token, is really just an index. So if this was, the 20th token that was created in a smart contract, this would be contract A, token 20, URI, that URI, and then that URL in that URI will state the image that's being shown in this example right here, and that's just for OpenSea. But this also goes into other types of example of what you can do with tokens, because now that you can sort of see that with most pictures, it's just a reference in the metadata of a URL to wherever the picture is actually hosted, you can really see that, well, if each token is just an index in a smart contract, well, all the smart contract is really doing is it's saying this token 1 or this token 2 or whatever can do X, Y, and Z that the smart contract allows based off the rules that you were able to build into it to begin with. So it could be something like different access rights to whoever possesses, or the account holder who possesses this token has able to access all of these features in the smart contract for privacy and security reasons. It may be, different functionalities that the user may be able to have, different functionalities and capabilities that the user will now be able to possess, that they're now the token holder. But at the end of the day, the token itself is just an index in the smart contract. We're just referencing 0, 1, 2, 3, referencing some metadata. And then whenever they reference a token, they're just saying this smart contract, index number, and then some metadata describing it. And there you go, that's the token. And one thing I really like to describe to this too is it's on normal systems, we have directories, and normally people refer to them as folders. But in that directory, you're really not, like, if you have a folder, that folder is not called the folder is called the entire directory name. So starting from the base directory of your system all the way through all the different folders that folder's in would actually be the name of that directory. It's the exact same thing when it comes to the blockchain, except it's with smart contracts. So the token is essentially an index in a smart contract. So on the blockchain, on the ledger, you have all of the different addresses. Some of those addresses are smart contracts, so they have additional features. Within those smart contracts, they have the different indexes, and then each index has some metadata, and when you refer to one of the numbers in the index, you've just referred to a token. And boom, there you go, now you have tokens. The only thing that determines whether it's an NFT or not is how many tokens are provided when you've created it. So you can either create one, and that's an NFT, or as many as you want. And there you go. And it's really as simple as that. I think there needs to be sort of a better understanding of what a token is, because it really is just a reference. The thing that makes it special is whatever the contract does, or at the very least, whatever the thing that's being referenced, like that picture, is the thing that's actually of value rather than the idea. You see what I mean? The thing that was worth it would have been worth it anyway. This is just a mechanism to reference it on the blockchain. And there you go. I think I'll be seeing you guys on the next one, and I hope you guys like that. See you later.